thank you for joining us on another episode of Tea and Trowels, FBAN's new web series featuring conversations with archaeologists. Today, I'm joined with Ivor. Would you like to introduce yourself and your mug?
Yeah, so my name is Ivor Mollema. I work as a senior archaeologist at the underwater section at Florida's Bureau of Archaeological Research, which is part of the Division of Historical Resources. And this is my mug. It was made in Langa Township in South Africa, which we visited while I was doing my master's research there. And it's got Lapsang Souchong tea in there, which was given to me by my colleague Neil Puckett, which is delicious.
Oh, awesome. My mug today is just a basic that I got sent from a friend, but it's from Starbucks. But the mug itself, my friend from undergrad, he sent it to me as kind of a surprise, my first in Florida. So it has a little bit more of a personal connection to me.
Yeah.
People might just see my Starbucks mug, but really it has a whole story behind it. Shout out to Jay. Thank you.
Full of sentimental value.
Exactly. So right off the bat, why did you become an archaeologist?
Oh man, so I've always been interested in history, and I grew up all over the world, and we always visited historical and archaeological sites. And archaeology was always a way to make history tangible. Like you could touch it and feel it and handle something that somebody had handled in the past. And it was this real cool connection. And I was taking an archaeological survey course at my undergrad, and we had a guest lecturer come in and talk in very general terms about maritime or underwater archaeology. And he was like, you can do archaeology while diving. And I was like, this is amazing, because I've been diving since I'm 10. And now you're telling me I can study history and go diving and apparently make a career out of this? Yeah, sign me up. So that was really the perfect combination for, at that point, I think, 20-year-old Ivor.
Yeah, I think we all have those aha moments where like, oh, wait, someone will actually, pay me to do
Yeah.
what I do? Okay.
And that's exactly what this was. Like, I didn't know this could be a thing until somebody told me.
Yeah, no, exactly. So kind of even going with that, in 30 seconds, what is your current research?
So at BAR, we're responsible for underwater archaeological sites in all of Florida's state waters. Some of our most recent projects include the Manasota Key Offshore Prehistoric Site near Venice, Florida. We have the Canaveral French shipwrecks near Canaveral. And for me personally, I've spent a lot of time working with the Dog Island shipwrecks that washed up after Hurricane Michael in 2018. They're still up on the beach, so we're constantly getting local informants or visitors to the island calling us up about them and having us document them and things like that.
Oh, very cool. I remember knowing about the Dog Island wrecks, but then after, I want to say Michael, right? Michael?
Yes. Yeah.
When we were seeing those images of how these shipwrecks kind of have a life of their own afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Decide
to show back up when they decide to, hide themselves again. I think it's a really great example of just the lives of shipwrecks, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and that makes perfect sense. And this one is really cool because Dog Island is basically just sand. So it's moving and it's shifting all the time. And the island itself is moved. And we actually think that this shipwreck might be one that was originally about 350 meters west of where it currently is. It was right in that surf zone, so we think that the waves and the winds and stuff coming in from Michael scoured it out and then just transported it down the beach and deposited it there.
Yeah, I grew up going to Aztec Island, and they had a whole bunch of shipwrecks that moved. And best example anyone ever told me, they're shipwrecks. They were ships at one point. They still float. They still move. And just knowing that kind of life history of what happens, it is still shipwreck, but it still has its own history as it moves along and kind of travels.
Oh yeah, for sure. The example I always give to illustrate the power of the ocean when it comes to dealing with shipwrecks is the Spiegel Grove down in the Keys that was sunk, and it was sunk on its side. And I think it was Hurricane Andrew that came through. But this ship is 140 feet deep at the deepest point. and it's 200 feet long, and a hurricane came through and righted it, like put it back straight on its keel, which is insane.
Yep.
Nothing in nature should be able to do that.
Yeah. I love these life histories of shipwrecks. So nerd coming out, but we'll continue. What is your favorite tool in your toolkit? And if you do have it, you're welcome to show it.
I wish I did have it, but it's with somebody else right now. But my favorite tool is our underwater camera. So I'm nominally in charge of our photographic and videographic documentation at BAR on our big projects. So I catalog it all, and I purchased a lot of our equipment so we've been able to expand those visual documentation efforts a lot. Taking a good scientific or public outreach photo is an essential part of our documentation of archaeological sites. Just so that we know what it looked like, and also so that we can show the public what it looked like, because 99% of the public is not going to see an underwater archaeological site in person. So a visual medium like your 3D modeling efforts, or like a video, or like a photo, are really the best way to communicate what something looks like to the public. And a picture is still worth 1,000 words. So being able to improve those documentation efforts has really been a boon to BAR, and has allowed us to reach the public in a way that we weren't really doing before, or weren't really able to do before.
Yeah, 100%. Some of the images from your sites, I always get excited when I get to see new ones posted, or learn more. And I think you're right. I mean, an image is worth 1,000 words, and most people are never going to be able to visit these underwater sites, either just because of geographic distances, depth, skill. So being able to just show an image of what you're working on underwater is so cool. So yeah, I can understand the camera being your favorite toolkit.
Yeah, and it's especially great when we document like the process of archaeology underwater, because it's so alien to people. Like people, they say like, oh, so you're digging underwater. And it's like, what does that look like? And it's like, well, we use this like big suction dredge and like go scrape it into there. And they're like, I don't understand. So being able to show them things like that in an alien environment and something they might not understand is definitely better with a picture than just with words.
Yeah, and still showing the actual scientific method behind it.
Mm-hmm.
You have a grid, you have mapping, you have all of this that's underwater, and it's still very controlled, which is amazing to be able to do that controlled work underwater. And I always say this enough, like, you can't properly breathe in your work environment. So not only are you able to crazily task load yourselves, but you're also still trying to, one, keep yourself breathing properly. So you have so much going on that I love seeing the underwater photos.
Oh yeah, fortunately our equipment should take care of the breathing stuff for us for the most part. And if it doesn't, then we're not doing archaeology anymore. We're going straight to service.
Exactly.
But it is definitely one of those things that we keep our minds on, exactly. And it's very task loading, and especially, when you're in the moment, it's like, oh, I need to get these pictures, and you don't really realize sometimes what you're documenting or what you're handling. So it's nice to look through the images or the video later and kind of see and appreciate more what you actually did that day, if that makes sense. Because at the time you're so like in the zone that you're not realizing like, oh, I just picked up like a 200-year-old plate or something like that, until you're looking at the picture and you're going, oh yeah, no, that's what I did.
That actually did happen today.
Yeah.
So kind of going with the field aspect, because that's what we're talking about, what is the best, worst field story?
Oh boy. So I definitely subscribe to a bad day underwater is still better than a good day spent on dry land. So any day I get to go diving is a good day. That being said, not every dive is the same. But one of my favorite bad or good bad field stories comes from my master's research in South Africa. So I'm diving on the Bato shipwreck in South Africa near Cape Town, and I'm diving with my buddy Nathaniel King. And we're there from ECU Field School, and it's one of our last dives, and this is my thesis research, so I'm super stressed to get all of the information we possibly can as we're measuring all these timbers that we're going down. And two things happened on this dive. I was really fortunate that I was like behind, so the wreck was kind of above the sand. So the main sea bottom is here and the wreck is sitting proud. So I'm sitting kind of here and the waves are coming this way. So I'm sheltered is what I'm getting at. But my buddy is floating above me and I'm giving him like the hand signals of what the measurements are. So we're like, okay, this is 12 centimeters and then this one is 24 centimeters wide. And I'm just like poking my hand up and going like this. And he's telling me he's got it every time. And I look up and he's just like rolling around in the surf and still like recording the information as he's rolling. Cause I guess he just got used to the rhythm after a while. So that was like a really fun moment to kind of look up and see your buddy spinning in the surf and be like, huh, you're good? Yeah, you're good? Okay, we'll keep going then. And then later that dive, archaeologists work outside. So a lot of our fun stories end up with some kind of animal or plant relation. So I'm continuing taking the measurements. We're both sheltered behind the wreck now, so there's no tumbling. But I'm taking these measurements and all of a sudden this like cuttlefish shoots out from the wreck and throws two of its tentacles up like this and starts flashing its like iridescent colors like it's angry and pissed off. And it decides to attack the clipboard with all of our notes on it. So my buddy again is in this like conflict with the cuttlefish and eventually gets like a pencil to like fend it off and like tell it to stay away. But that thing followed us the whole time. But it was more emotional stress for me and physical stress for Nathan than it was a bad day. But we got all our data, so it ended very well.
That's all that matters. You get the data. That is amazing.
Oh, it was hilarious. Like there was definitely like a moment of shock of like, is he okay? And then I was like, I did the okay sign and I got it back while he's still spinning. So it's like doing one of these. And I don't know, he gave it back to me and he kept following me as I did the measurements on that side of the wreck. So I guess he was handling it.
It's a prime example about how committed archaeologists are to getting the data. Like on the last day, what you will go through no matter.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I remember the storms because that area, like I'm sure you've heard stories about the Cape of Good Hope and storms and everything coming through there. Like you could see the storm kind of work its way up the bay with the clouds coming in. So the water is getting choppy and we were like, oh God, this is gonna suck. But it's definitely one that we can now talk about and laugh about at the end, which is important.
Yeah. That's the whole point of those good bad field stories.
Yeah.
So our last formal question of our interview is, how do you think that archaeology can save the world?
So I think archaeology provides a great way for cultures of the world to interact and connect with each other. And then given the often international nature of underwater archaeological sites and shipwrecks in particular, that becomes or is brought more to the forefront when you're studying sites that relate to different nationalities. Like you could be studying a British warship like the HMS Bowie down in the Keys in America and have to start learning about British history and seafaring culture. Or you could be, there's Dutch VOC shipwrecks all over the world, but also there's Arabian ships all over the Mediterranean that are in European countries that we need to know about. There's Chinese ships all over the world. And really getting to appreciate different cultures in such a tangible way, like we were talking about before, archaeology making history tangible allows a more direct exposure to different cultures and I think an appreciation as people, and with that, hopefully they learn to appreciate and value the differences, but they also realize that fundamentally most cultures are the same, like they value the same things, just potentially in different ways. Mm-hmm. And then we can build on that to save the world.
Exactly. Oh, no, perfect. Last question, before I guess she decides to do something.
She's figuring out what she wants to do there. Yeah, I think she wants to be in your lap, but she also needs the hand to go on, yeah.
Yeah, I need to keep petting her or else I'm going to be bit. question is our bonus, and that is, what is keeping you sane?
Oh, so that's actually an easy question in this case. So I became a father on the 1st of March, which is super exciting because it was just before all this COVID-19 restriction stuff hit. And babies are very time and energy consuming, so I don't have a lot of energy or time to dedicate the things like following the news or feeling lonely for myself, because I can just cuddle up with Rose and everything. So that's really been the touchstone.
Oh, fantastic, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Informally.
I'd bring her in, but I think she finally fell asleep, which is good.
Yeah. Never wake a sleeping baby. That, I feel like, should be rule number one for the rest. Well, it will be for the rest of your life.
Yeah, no, I mean, she'll let you know when she's up, so there's no.
Exactly. All right. Well, I wanted to thank you so much for being on our episode of
Yeah, of course.
So have a great day and cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.